Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. I'm feeling a bit under the weather here, so if I sound a little bit weird or if my voice, sounds odd, that is the reason for it. I got a bit of a scratchy throat here. Now we're going to be testing Thanos. We're going to be testing him with the old uniform versus the new uniform with and without the with and without an offensive build, because I want to see what his baseline damage looks like. So we're going to take him through the first phase here of Null. This is stage 79 of Null, so it's a pretty high stage. And we're going to see how he does with the old uniform, with just Farmer Thanos, which got a buff for PvE, and then with the new uniform. And then we're going to obviously take them both into harder content, harder PvE content with an actual PvE build. So this one gets done in about 50 seconds. So 50 seconds stage 1 with a purely PvP, sorry, stage 79. 50-second stage 79 with a purely PvP build. Now switching over to the new uniform, the rotation is almost the same. It's just 3-4-5 instead of 3-5-4, but it's still basically an instant cancel on everything. And then you just let the things play out, and then you can do 1 and 2. But as you can see here, the damage I think is a little bit worse on the regular rotation, and then a little bit better on the the tier 3 and things like that. It's not exactly the case, but, ooh, immune to poison. That's pretty cool. Okay. So there we go. It's important to see both here, both tests with a PvE and a PvP build, because it's going to give us a better idea of, maybe the hits don't really add too much of a difference when all is said and done when you have like a stacked PvE build. But when you don't, and maybe you're trying to get something hybrid to work, that's when one build is going to do better than the other. And that's what it seems to be here. So it seems like the newer uniform is actually slower for this test. Not a lot slower, 5 seconds slower. But hey, that's a whole rotation. Now, this may not be a lot at this stage, right? This is a very easy boss. Null, it is stage 79, but I am using double supports. But this 5-second difference without an obelisk, right, or without an offensive build, could end up being a lot more than 5 seconds on a much harder boss, right? There could be a multiplying or a compounding effect. That's why we want to make these tests, because I've heard from some people, for example, that there isn't really a big difference between these two uniforms. And so if you aren't looking to maximize your build for Thanos and you're just looking for something serviceable, then this uniform is better. Because overall, right, while this uniform may be better for PvE, if you compare them in PvE and PvP, right? If you want an overall best build, maybe this is a 10 out of 10 for PvE, and it's only a 6 out of 10 for PvP. So that equals 16 out of 20. But this one is, let's say, a 9 out of 10 for PvE and a 9 out of 10 for PvP. So it's 18. So it's 18 out of 20 overall versus 16 out of 20 overall. So again, it really depends what you want. I think it's pretty cut and dry if you want sort of an early summary. I think if you're going for PvP, you absolutely need to go with this one. I think if you're only going for PvE, you should absolutely go with this one. And then, of course, if you want just the best bang for your buck, it's this one. It's this one for multiple reasons, but most notably the fact that this will always be on sale, so you don't have to feel FOMO the way that this one gives you FOMO. And that this one actually gets discounted up to 50% during the anniversary and Black Friday. This one never gets discounted. So I think the devs should have actually gone even further with Thanos Wise Harvester, or done something else to the uniform to make it feel more unique. Because, yeah, dropping a uniform at the same time a year later that is not seasonal makes it a pretty easy choice for most people. However, that was the PvP performance. We're now going to swap over to a pretty standard PvE build, but we're going to go ahead and give him a CTP of energy. I'm going to change this to a 200 proc, and then we're going to see how he procs with a CTP. First up here, we got stage 59 of Gore. This is with the Farmer Thanos uniform. It's a pretty straightforward 3-5-4 combo. Now, usually it's very easy for him to proc. That time we missed it. I missed it in the sense that it was just delayed. We didn't actually miss it in the sense of it being early. I would say this uniform, this Farmer uniform, they're both pretty much a 10 out of 10 for proc friendliness. The Farmer uniform does have an advantage, though, which is that the iframe ignore skill is Thanos' 4th skill. Now, this is important because it doesn't matter if the boss iframes or does anything like that. The damage is always guaranteed, right? Because of the iframe ignore on the 4th skill. So that is really nice. it sort of makes him feel kind of the damage is kind of unstoppable. Now you do see that sometimes the boss pushes you away, and that's kind of unfortunate because I don't think Thanos has the biggest AoE on his abilities, at least not Farmer Thanos. We'll try to identify that a little bit more as we play along here, but that's probably the only thing I notice that's kind of an issue. But here, we're doing pretty well right now. We're just past a minute, and we're about to pop the tier 3 and then go into the regular rotation, and we should finish him here. So not bad. 1 minute and 7 seconds. Switching to the new uniform now, same stage. The only difference here is instead of 3-5-4 proc, it's 3-4-5 proc. So it's a bit more straightforward, but it's essentially instant cancel on both anyways. And it's also pretty snappy in terms of when the skill runs out, because you have time to do other things there. The only other big difference that you'll notice is Thanos doesn't have iframe ignore on the 4. It's now on the 1. So after you're done with the 5th skill, you want to then do 2 cancel 1. That builds up your tier 3. And that also allows you a little bit of iframe ignore to guarantee a bit of extra damage. I'm going to go ahead and pop off here. We get pushed just the same. This one with Farmer Thanos finished the deal, kind of sealed the deal for Gore, but we had to do an extra rotation here to finish it off. As you can see there, that's probably a big difference. With Farmer Thanos, I believe we pushed him to almost death. He had like just a little bit, and then I just used the 2 to finish him off. Whereas with that one, I needed a full extra rotation. So again, it seems like it's 1 to 2 rotations slower. That's not really a big deal, but it's going to compound the higher you go to higher stages, right? All right, let's see here. We're going to go ahead and do that because we had to charge up the tier 3 so we could pop it off right away. Do the 1 there. Oh, we kind of goofed up that rotation there. That's my apologies. So we probably would have finished at 3:45. Again, not a huge difference, but it is about 5 to 10 seconds slower. And, for whatever that's worth, that's something to note here versus a higher level boss, higher level content. Final World Boss Legend test here. This is stage 35 of Kang. We're not going to do the whole fight. We're just going to do to the first cutscene just so that it gives us an idea of what we're getting here. Now, with this Farmer Thanos uniform, you can splash in the 1 and the 2 at the end once he stops banging with his hoe. And one thing I will say is I think to the credit of the Farmer uniform, right, as much as I kind of said it was worse overall, not worse overall, but yeah, it is worse overall. It's not as much value overall. To the credit of this uniform, I think it has more visual clarity than the new uniform. Now we're going to try to squeak in here. Yep, and we do. So 45 seconds to the first cutscene. Very impressive here for Thanos on just a regular 200 proc CTP of energy. 45 seconds is the time to beat here. Let's see what happens. 3, 4, 5. Let's pop off. All right. 1, 2, and then 1. All right. Let's go ahead. Pop the tier 4. Okay. Damage is a little lackluster, I'd say. We do have the tier 3 now. And the nice thing about Thanos is he's so tanky, man. He's so tanky. He tanks so many hits. We're going to co-op here. It's going to give us a little bit of extra damage, which is maybe a bit unfair to the new uniform, but that's okay. We did that because we wanted to avoid dying to the purple attack. I don't think he would have died, but I just wanted to make sure. Let's go ahead and proc here. Not bad. Tanks it again. Very nice. But we're already at 15 seconds. We're going to have to play really aggressively, do a full rotation here to try to catch up. We might end up dying. We do end up dying. That's okay. I was playing as aggressively as possible. You can see we're already 10 seconds behind. I think it would have taken about 1 more rotation, so that probably would have put us at 15 to 18 seconds behind. So I think it's interesting that you can see a pattern, right? On very easy stages like Null, there's a very small difference of just like 5 seconds. It's like 1 rotation or less. And then you go to a higher stage. You jump up to Gore 60, and it's like 1 to 2 to 3 rotations, depending on how quickly your proc activates. And then we get up to, Kang 35, which is even a higher stage, which is even more difficult. And now you start to see the gap widening. So I think that's essentially what you're going to see. I do want to do one more test, so we're going to jump into some solo GBR and see how he does. Now, for the purposes of solo GBR, we're actually going to be switching him over to a Rage. This is going to cost me an extra 600 crystals, but I think it's okay. Well, actually, you know what? We'll go with a Mighty Rage. We'll go with a Mighty Rage, just so you guys have a perfect idea of what these two uniforms can do, how they proc, etc. At the risk of being corny, we're going to be using Valkyrie and Morgan Le Fay supports here. I know I could use Squirrel Girl, but it's kind of cringe. We're going to do, again, just the same rotation here, 3, 5, 4, and we're going to proc, and, you know, if the Rage proc activates, it activates. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and then we splash in with the 1 and the 2. Again, the nice thing about Thanos is if we can get this off, we can actually, yeah, look at that. His 4th skill has the iframe ignore. Now, we're actually just a little bit short on the damage, but that goes to show you that just goes, you know, if you stacked a few more Odin's Blessings or something, that would have been a one-shot. I think that's really funny to me, but again, it's just, you want to just highlight the pros and the cons of each character, right? So the pro of this uniform, despite everything else, is that, yeah, he, you know, he has iframe ignore on his main damage dealing skill, and that is a really handy feature for this kind of content where you're going to get iframed and you're going to get interrupted. So we're coming up on 1 minute here for this solo. Pretty nice. We're going to pop the tier 3. And we should finish him with this rotation. I'm just going to have to cut it short. But yes. And finally, old King Thanos. Let's take a look here. This is 3, 4, 5. They tell you to do a slight delay on 4. So we'll do the slight delay now that we don't have to worry about proccing. And then we'll splash in the 1 and the 2. As you can see there, it's not quite the same damage. We're going to wait until the... do the 1 there. Wow, very, very close. So I held the... You saw I held the tier 4 because the tier 4 has a burst damage ability. I held the tier 4 until the Rage proc activated. The reason for that is it obviously does a lot more damage when the Rage proc is active. I find that happens sometimes with Farmer Thanos as well, although maybe it's a little bit more consistent now because he has more hits. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how he pops off here. Very nice. Do the 1, get the heal. All right, pop off here, King. We're actually going to hold. You can tell it's slower already, right? But we're going to hold here. So we can pop the tier 3. Yep, and the tier 4 at the same time. Do the 1 and the 2. Okay. So yeah, we're already behind, and we have a couple more rotations to go. So this is going to end up being anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds slower for essentially the same content. Okay. Yeah. So we're already 25 seconds slower. I'm going to pop off here. And there. So we ended up being about 20 to 25 seconds slower in GBR there. Again, that's what I expect. The more you pile up the defenses and the HP of the enemy and the sort of pierce reduction for things like GBR, the more you're going to see the Farmer Thanos uniform shine because it has more hits and it is more PvE oriented. So yeah, that is my analysis, and that's sort of what the testing confirms. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know which one you're going to go for based on these tests or based on something else. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button. It helps with the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.